Robust production results combined with record rand gold prices is contributing to the prospects of African-centric mid-tier gold producer Pan-African Resources. I'm delighted to be joined by the Chief Executive, Cobus Loots. So Cobus, we're recording this in May 2024, and over the past 3 months, the price of gold has increased some 17%. So I'm wondering, has gold found its happy place in terms of value?
Well, it's always a difficult question to answer, and if we knew the answer, then actually I guess we wouldn't have to mine the metal. But yes, it's fair to say the gold investors, I think, are smiling at the moment, and the performance of gold has been good, and obviously driven by a number of factors, the central banks buying, the continued uncertainty in the world. So those are positives for the gold price, and then obviously for gold producers like Pan-African, specifically also for gold producers with expanding production like ourselves.
So let's talk about the positives within your portfolio, because you have a few assets. So let me start with the near-term prospect Evander Mines, described as one of the largest unexploited gold ore bodies. A recent discovery, or has this been flirted with by prospectors of the past?
Well, it's certainly not a recent discovery. The Evander Basin has been mined since the 1950s. And there's been some 10 vertical shafts that have been sunk on what we call the Kinross pay channel ore body at Evander. So that should tell you something about the quality of what we're mining in the ore body. And yes, I mean, it's exciting times for the Evander underground. It's fair to say that in the recent past, sort of 4 or 5 years ago, the operation went through a fairly difficult patch where we had to invest quite heavily in infrastructure and into the future. And most of that investment has now been done, so it's exciting. So on the Evander 8 shaft, which is where we are currently focusing, we're producing some 40 to 45,000 ounces a year currently, and that's going to increase quite materially in the years ahead. And at the current gold price, we have many years of mining on the Evander underground. And then, in addition to what we're doing at 8 shaft, we also have the Elulu project, which is off Evander 7 shaft. And I think investors can expect some progress in terms of our plans for the Elulu project in the months ahead.
Okay, so in terms of the future and timescales, life of mine, I understand, at Evander is currently at 13 years, mining rights till 2038. Can this be extended? Do you want it to be extended?
Well, 2030, certainly there's more than enough gold to be mining well beyond 2038. So, yes, this mine will be going, in our view, for many more years, specifically also given the investments we are making in terms of efficiencies and productivity, which will stand us in good stead for many production years to come.
So what was the rationale for stopping the processing of surface sources at the Evander gold mines?
Well, our company is not about mining ounces. It's about mining ounces safely and profitably. And unfortunately, it was a very small contributor in terms of ounces, and it was marginal, if not loss-making. And hence we elected to stop that business, but the rest of our portfolio more than compensated for the loss in ounces from surface tolling at Evander.
Talk to me about your relationship with the community, because I know that your company has a laser focus on mining for the future. Long-term integration with the community, I'm sure, is part of that. And you have solar energy initiatives.
Well, I mean, we recognize that in order for us to mine, we need to do so with the cooperation and with the support of our local communities. And in many of the areas where we operate, we are actually the largest employer. And, that's quite an important responsibility for ourselves. We also have a number of community projects that are well publicized and documented. And there's a lot of information available on our website also. But we build clinics and schools. We're very proud of our large-scale agriculture project that we have running at Barberton, which employs some 300 local women for most of the year. So those are the sort of initiatives I think that sets Pan-African apart. In addition, as you mentioned, the solar, we were the first South African miner to commission a utility-scale 10-megawatt solar facility at our Evander mine by the end of June. So in a little bit more than a month from now, we'll commission another circa 10 megawatts at Barberton, and then we have a number of other expansion plans in the years ahead. So yes, it's quite conceivable for us that in the next 3 or 4 years, we could be sourcing almost half of all of our energy requirements from renewable initiatives.
You mentioned Barberton there. Mining rights are valid until May 2051. It's a long time in the future there. But what is happening at the Fairview and Sheba mines?
So we have the underground complex consists of Fairview, Sheba, and Consort, and then we have the BTRP also, which was our first tailings retreatment operation. So yes, as we've pointed out in our most recent release, the operations are pretty much on target. Fairview's doing very well. Sheba, given the fact that we've implemented continuous operations, we are seeing improvements. And in Consort, which is quite a small little underground mine, but which was problematic, we're slowly seeing that Consort mine also turning around.
Okay, let's come to the big one in Zulu, your flagship operation, Elikhulu, built within budget, commissioned ahead of schedule, and reaching steady production within 2 years. An unfair question, but has this operation paid for itself yet?
Well, it's paid for itself in, I think, 3 years, which is almost sort of our benchmark for our tailings retreatment projects. And yes, Elikhulu has been a fantastic asset for us. It demonstrates that you can successfully build and operate large-scale mining projects in South Africa. And currently looking forward, we still have 10 years of production from Elikhulu. We're producing, I think, in this year at sub $1,000 an ounce all-in sustaining, which is exceptional given all of the cost pressures in the industry. And yes, Elikhulu is a major money spinner for the group.
So therefore, will the Magali tailings retreatment project at Mintails, will that be a carbon copy of Elikhulu, which arguably you've created a gold standard for?
Well, I mean, we like to think that Magali, or the MTR project, as we also refer to it, is actually going to improve on what we did at Elikhulu. So why I say that is Magali initially had a life of 13 years, but with the addition of the reserves that we have at Soweto, that extends to well beyond 20 years, producing 50 to 60,000 ounces a year. And all indications are that we are going to be able to actually produce at sub $1,000 an ounce. So again, exceptional. At the current gold price, obviously the payback on our initial capital of some $135 million will be less than 3 years.
So I hear what you say about payback, but what do the finances look like in terms of cash flow and the potential capital required to progress your portfolio ambitions?
Well, I think the great thing for us is that we have a strong balance sheet, and that's obviously despite the fact that we are commissioning and building these really large projects, and we are paying a sector-leading dividend to our shareholders, and they have done so for many years. We have a robust balance sheet, and given the current gold price, I think it's fair to say that we're generating more cash than what we had expected or anticipated, and that sort of will also come here and assist us from a balance sheet perspective.
Okay, so that's a question that's come from some investors about the dividend. They've asked two things: any chance of more frequent dividend payments, and what would make you consider a share buyback program?
So, I mean, those are two questions, and certainly the first one in terms of a more frequent dividend, it's something that we will consider, I think, into the future. But the board is very much focused in the next 6 months on delivering on Magali and on the rest of our portfolio in terms of the projects. So that'll be the focus. And a historic dividend yield of 5 or 6%, I think, is not unattractive and very, very competitive globally. So that's the first point. And then share buybacks. In the past, we've undertaken a small share buyback, and that's definitely something that we would be open to into the future. Again, comparing that to a number of other very attractive growth opportunities like Mogale that we are currently completing and finalizing.
How comfortable are you and the board with the levels of debt that the company currently has? Is this the preference to equity dilution?
Most definitely. I think we've always had a very conservative approach as far as issuing equity is concerned. In the last 10 years, I think we've issued equity twice, and those were for very attractive growth projects. The balance sheet is robust, obviously at the current gold price and at a lower gold price. And I mean, that's maybe a point also. The Pan-African, a number of South African producers are known for being quite a high cost. It's not the case with Pan-African. Our guidance in terms of all-in sustaining cost is below $1,350 per ounce, which is very competitive internationally. And that obviously assists us in terms of cash flows in the balance sheet. So we are able to fund all of our growth projects currently from internal facilities and cash that we generate. So I think that's definitely attractive.
So in my introduction, I said Africa-centric. Will the company remain so? Is this the jurisdiction of choice for the forever term?
Well, we're not wed to any one jurisdiction, but one needs to recognize where your strong points are and where your base of operations are, and that's been South Africa. And South Africa's presented great opportunity for us. Mintails being case in point. It's an asset that has more than 2 million ounces in reserves when we were done with our studies, and we paid less than $3 million for that asset. So that's sort of fantastic, and it's a very difficult benchmark to beat. But, that being said, we have good expertise in processing, metallurgy, geology, both open cast and surface mining, and then obviously also the underground. So whichever jurisdiction we believe we could apply that and do so in a way that it is value accretive to shareholders, we would consider.
So finally, Cobus, why should investors put Pan-African Resources on their watch list?
Well, I think there are very few gold producers that can have a growth of, in terms of production, 20 to 30% in the next 12 months. That's very difficult for the majors to replicate. And that plus, I think, sector-leading dividends and a very competitive all-in sustaining cost base, those should be quite compelling arguments for investing.
Many thanks. Cobus Loots, Chief Executive of Pan-African Resources. It's been an absolute delight. Thank you.